Hi YouTube, it's me TFI Wilderness. Welcome to my channel and welcome to the first of this month's Korean toy reviews, or KTRTs as I call them, which is my acronym for Korean Transforming Robot Toy. Now, this figure is one that I've been after for quite a while, ever since this toy came out a good few years ago, because it was, what, season 5? I think season 5 of Hello Carbot, which I don't know what year that was, about 2016, 2017, something like that. It's been around for a few years. And this figure formed part of a combiner set called Proud Jet or Proud Zet. Yes, I'm probably going to get the pronunciation of some of the characters' names a bit wrong in this video because, as with so many other Korean figures, there's a bit of ambiguity in their name. I know it's properly the proper name has got a Z in it instead of a J, but when this toy originally came out, I was watching the show, and when you listen to Chatan saying the character's name, it sounded more like he was saying a J sound than a Z sound, you know, because it's something to do with the way the Koreans pronunciate certain words. It can be mistranslated when people of a different language hear it with their own ears. And I honestly thought that he was saying jet instead of zet. And also, when it came to the toys getting released, the eBay sellers were listing it, calling it Jet and Zesty rather than Zet and Zesty. So, yeah, so there's that problem. Anyway, I've kind of given the game away of what figure I'm going to be reviewing. This figure was part of a two-part combiner set, which also had other figures that combined together to form a character called Buildian. Now, Buildian was made up of a maximum of, I think, hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 characters in total. There was the two smaller combiners. You had Proud Zet and Star Blaster. They had their own sort of combinations, and then you had these other characters which then clipped onto them. I've got one of them here, this guy, Kran. He's one of the Buildian team. This guy, he comes apart, like that bit comes off, and that then becomes part of the combiner, and these bit do something else. So there's a bit of interchangeability between these characters. I decided to get this guy because I quite like the look of him. He's a pretty cool little character himself because he turns into an iron fairy, which is a British industrial term for a small mobile crane that can go inside factories, and it can lift heavy objects inside factories. Yep, so he turns into that, and I got this guy back in the day. I mean, what's the copyright on this thing? 2017, so yeah, I got it right, it was 2017. So yeah, 2017 this guy came out. And yeah, so there was a bunch of other characters, and the two sets combined together to make this massive combiner called Buildian. In fact, there's a picture of it now. Now, this particular set, Proud Zet, Proud Jet, had two characters. It had a little orange Humvee, which transformed into a robot and then became sort of like the chest piece of the combiner. And then you had the big red dump truck called Proud. Now, Proud, I don't like Proud. I don't like the design of the dump truck. The proportions of it are just so wrong. It's got a very long bonnet. It's got a very stupidly high cab. It's got these very small wheels at the back, huge wheels at the front, and a massive great dump bed. The proportions of it are just totally off. It's a totally unrealistic looking alt mode. The robot mode is pretty cool, and there is one funny scene in one of the episodes where Proud is wandering around in his combiner form without Zesty being his sort of chest thing. It's quite funny actually. Anyway, so I wanted Zesty. I wanted the little orange Humvee dude. But you couldn't buy him separately. You had to buy him as part of this 2-pack. And this 2-pack was this combiner was quite expensive back in the day. And it was only available during the 2017 sort of year. And then the toy line moved on to season 6, I think it was. What came out in season 6? I think that was when Mighty Guard and what was it? K-Cops came out. I think that was that season 6. I could be wrong. Anyway, so they moved on. Anyway, so this guy, you can only buy him as part of this combiner. I tried a couple of times to get hold of Proudset. A lot of the times the prices were just went way too much. I mean, they were asking like, you know, originally, I mean, it was about, I think, 60-70 quid when it first came out, and then the prices went silly. They went like 80-90 quid, and then 100 plus. And then when I started buying figures off 11th Street and G Market, I tried to buy one off there for about 80 odd quid. Unfortunately, when the seller found out I was a UK seller, he cancelled my order and gave me my money back because he refused to ship to the UK. So I missed out on one that way. But anyway, fast forward to the recent time, and KR Brickbot sort of tips me off that the Hello Carbot figures are getting reissued in China, because I believe the show is being rescreened in China or Chinese, and they're reissuing all the original, you know, so all the earlier lines of the Hello Carbot toy line, and they're actually doing, you know, Zesty separately as a separate figure. So I really wanted to get him. So last month I went on to AliExpress and tried to buy one. Unfortunately, they sent me another one of these. So yeah, the seller sent me another cran. So unfortunately I had to send it back and get a full refund. So I tried again this month. Unfortunately, I got one. I got me a Zesty finally. Now, before we go any further, here's a quick look at the box. Now, this guy, like I said, was never sold as a separate figure. It was always sold as part of this thing, which is the original Proudset combiner. And yeah, you could only buy him as part of that 2-pack. But now, for some reason, they've decided to sell him separately, so they've gave him his own box. Now, he never had a box originally, so this is a totally made-up box. The reissue Chinese cran box looks like the Korean one, but they've just changed some of the wording. Like, this has got like the Korean name down here. It's got English there, and it's got a lot of Chinese stuff all around. It's even got a little tech spec on the top there. But it's a fairly simple box, no plastic windows, so it's all cardboard. Inside it's just a simple cardboard sleeve, which the mistransformed figure was sort of, you know, tied to. And then you get a set of instructions which show you how to do the combiner for all the different figures to make Hyper Buildian. And then it's got like the instructions for, you know, Zesty's transformation from alt mode to robot mode, and his combiner chunk. Yes, because he actually has a combiner mode as well. But anyway, there's a quick look at the packaging, and let's have a look at the figure himself. Now, this is him in his alt mode, and this is why I really wanted to get this, because he's an orange Humvee, and I love the colour orange. It's one of my favourite colours. And the Humvee is a pretty cool vehicle, be it the original, you know, sort of military vehicle, or then you had the the Humvee, the Hummer H2, and all those other sort of soft road versions that they did of it. But this is based on the original military vehicle. It's a cool looking Humvee. It's orange with some yellow. It's got white wheels, pinned wheels, a little black accent around the back there. But it looks pretty cool. Now, on getting this thing, I mean, size-wise, it's about the size of a deluxe car, I suppose. Speaking of which, yes, I haven't got my size comparison down yet, but I'll do him in a minute. But yeah, it's got some pegging issues. It doesn't quite peg together properly. And on messing around with this figure, it does have a few issues on the actual alt mode. First of which is, if you look at the bottom, you can see here the feet, the robot mode feet, are just jammed under the back of the vehicle mode, and this does roll very well on a completely flat surface. However, if you try to run this on a soft surface like a carpet, or like a cloth or something, an uneven surface, these feet dig in, and it doesn't roll very well. And speaking of rolling, the wheels. Now, I don't know whether you can see this. They look like pinned wheels, and you think, oh, they'll be really good. They'll spin really well. But actually, if I turn this wheel, you can see the wheel stays still, but the tyre turns around the wheel. See? So it's got rolling tyres, not wheels. The wheels are fixed, but the tyres roll around the wheel. Now, I've seen this before on other figures, most notably on Carbot V Season 3 Tachyon. He had that design where the tyres span around the wheels, but it's only because he had like a fixed sort of disc in the middle of the wheel with a design on it, which was meant to stay put, and the tyre just rolled around the wheel. But these are just plain sort of spoked wheels, and you'd think they'd have just made them as basic rolling wheels instead of doing it this way. So that's a bit unusual. That's a bit of a minor nitpick on the vehicle mode. But apart from that, the details are pretty good. It's got a nice moulded grille with painted lights. It's got the Carbot logo in the centre there. It's got painted black windows. It's got wing mirrors, and it's got, you know, moulded detail for the door, hinges down the side, a nice sort of grille on the bonnet there. It's pretty good. They've got windscreen wipers as well, so it's got some pretty good moulded details. But there's not much more you can say about the vehicle mode. It's like a deluxe sized car. It's got weird wheels which sort of turn, but they're kind of noisy and rough, and they've got a lot of friction. So, you know, if you go to, you know, zoom it along, it doesn't really go that far. And also you've got these. It's not got much in the way of ground clearance, considering this is supposed to be an off-road vehicle. That snag on anything other than a completely flat surface. So, right, let's get into robot mode, shall we? Typical Carbot toy. It's got a fairly intuitive, simple transformation. So you start with the back doors. Is it the back doors? Yeah. So you just unpeg the back doors. Oh yeah, you got to separate that, and it basically, yeah, okay, start again. Right, so first you break the car in two, right? Then you fold these doors back, so you're basically forming the legs. So then you straighten that out, and then you bend that round until it goes to there, and then straighten the legs. And then you've got the waist. Now, the waist is a bit of a pig to clip in. It's supposed to roll over and clip in. So it goes over the back here, and it's supposed to... Oh, it's not easy to clip it in. Bit of an awkward step there. Now, separate the legs, and there's the legs. Now, obviously, you can see his head. I see where this is going to go. So you've got these side pieces. Now you sort of fold them out, unclip them, and then they're on a double hinge, which you bring round, and you can fold the arms forward. Then you can fold his chest down, and that sort of pegs into place. And there we have Zesty in his robot mode, and he looks pretty cool. He's got a nice white and orange setup. I know my lights are like blaring him out because he's got some quite light colours on him. He's pretty cool. He's a decent sized bot. I mean, here he is next to Kran, and as you can see, he pretty good size next to Kran. My usual size comparison for Korean toy reviews is Combiner Wars Megatron, who's a full sized, you know, sort of leader class bot. And as you can see, he comes up to his waist, so he's about equivalent to a deluxe figure. Haven't really got a deluxe figure to hand. Let's get this guy down. He's an old deluxe Energon Sharkticon. There you go. That's a decent size comparison. So yeah, there you go. Pretty cool looking robot dude. Like the colour, like the shape. You know, he's got the hood chest. He's got some arms. It's pretty decent. He's pretty cool. Now he does have, again, as in vehicle mode, he has a couple of minor nitpicks in his robot mode as well. He's got a good head sculpt. Obviously, autofocus. Hang on. I think you can see it. Can you see it? He's got a pretty cool head sculpt. Pretty cool. He's actually got a mouth instead of a, you know, like a faceplate type thing. He's got like a black thing that goes around the back. He's got chops down the side. It's pretty cool. He's got a little orange goatee as well. Pretty cool head sculpt. I like the head sculpt. The head sculpt is on a pivot, which will pivot from side to side. The shoulders are on a joint. Bit squeaky. There's some collisions with various joints, but you can get it to go all the way round, more or less. And you've got a 90-degree elbow. No bicep swivels, just a straight elbow joint. No waist joints, but it does have when the arms go in and out like that a little bit, that's about as far as they'll go. He does have hips that will go, that's it, angle them forward a bit to get something like a split, but forwards, back. Then you've got the knees. Now knees go like that, and then nothing at the legs. So it's very simple articulation. Looking from the front, he's got this bit of a thing on his midriff there, bit of a void there. He's okay. He's all right. Like I said, in robot mode, the thing I don't like about it is the way they've engineered the legs. Now, if you look here, you see that. That's the roof of the vehicle, and it folds back to form the top of the leg, but it doesn't actually peg in at all. It just hinges back on friction and then just stays there. Now it has this block that it rests against. They could quite easily put a peg or a port on there so that it actually pegged in, and that would have held it in place. It's a shame because, you know, sometimes when you're moving the knee, this flap becomes unhinged, and yeah, so you have to be careful when you're moving the knees. I mean, you can sort of give him longer legs like that if you want, but it looks a bit weird. So yeah, that's a bit unusual. Yeah, like I said, there's some unusual design choices on this thing. I mean, that's one of them. They could have done better there. The wheels in alt mode, and yeah. So there we go. There's his robot mode. You look at it from the back. Looks fairly clean. Now he does have an extra mode because he's part of a combiner. So let's go into the combiner mode, shall we? So we basically kind of go back to robot mode. I mean alt mode, sorry. Right, there we go. Now for his combiner chunk, basically you take this part of the vehicle and then fold it all the way around, like so, and then you flip this top panel up and you get the combiner head. So there is the head of Proud Zet. There's his head. He does have a thing whereby you can plug extra bits on it to make it bigger, but I don't actually have those parts. But that basically plops on the top of the body of the initial the main combiner of Proud, and the shoulders clip into the side, and he's basically a breastmaster, for want of a better word. He forms the head and the chest of the larger figure. But yeah. Now, one word of warning. This head only fits in this void that way round. Do not, under any circumstances, turn it round and try to push it in the other way, because it will get stuck. Because I tried that, because I thought, I thought it was going to be, showing out in the robot mode, but it isn't, because it's tucked away underneath. So I turned it round, and the wings on the side of his helmet get irretrievably stuck in this pocket here. So you have to have the face facing forward, and then it folds away like that, and then you just collapse the vehicle or put the vehicle back together like so. So there we go. Zesty. Like I said, I've been after this guy for a while. Finally got him. Bit of a mare to get him. Was he worth all the effort though? This is the question. I mean, I didn't pay a great deal for this thing. I mean, initially it was less than 20 quid. I think it was less than 20 quid. Less than the price of a deluxe anyway. I think it was just over 16 quid, I think it was, all told. Which is pretty good. You get a decent figure. He's got a decent weight. He's fairly solid. He's good quality plastic. Usual, Korean things. But this is a Chinese reissue of the Korean original toy. And the build quality is, for the most part, pretty good on it. There's a few joints that probably could be a little bit tighter, I suppose. But everything pegs together firmly. And so I can't really criticise it for that. I mean, this is one of the original sort of Kran toys, and I didn't actually get the Chinese reissue out to see if there was any differences between the two toys, but I mean, the quality between these two is much of a muchness. I don't suppose there is. But yeah, he's a little disappointing in some respects because of the little niggly little issues that I highlighted, like the in alt mode, you've got the lack of ground clearance, the spinny tyres, and then in robot mode, them knee joints which don't peg in properly, or don't peg in at all rather. Yeah, so he does have a few minor nitpicks, for want of a better word. Overall, he's a pretty good figure, and I don't hate him. He's a fairly likeable figure, though I do think the effort in finally getting one was not really worth it, to be honest. Yeah, all those attempts over the years to get hold of one of these by hook or by crook, never really panned out to anything. And then when I finally get it, it's not quite as good as I hoped it would be. But like I said, I don't hate it. It's a nice figure. I do like it. It's just, there's just them few little things that just stop it from being a really awesome figure. So there we go. That's been my review of that little guy, of Hello Carbot Zesty. Finally got hold of one. I do have another couple of Korean toys inbound. You'll see the next one in next week's unboxing video, because this is going out on Saturday the 16th. And my second one, the third Korean bot. It's on its way, but it hasn't left Korea yet. And I ordered it on the 1st. Did I order it on the 1st? I ordered it at the beginning of the month anyway, and it's taking its sweet time, because I've ordered it from 11th Street, and to be brutally honest, this is probably going to be the last figure I order from 11th Street, because I'm having a lot of trouble with that website. Really am. It's cursed. The 11th Street website is cursed, and I think it's just not worth the trouble trying to buy stuff off it. I think I'm going to be sticking to Gmarket from now on. But anyway, with that said, I've been TFR Wilderness. Hopefully you've enjoyed this review, and I'll catch you all next time. Ta-da!